Welcome to Chasing Shadows. I'm Mark Miners, your guide through the unexplained, the suppressed, and the things we fear in the dark. Each episode we uncover the forgotten stories and hidden truths that history tried to erase. Tonight's story is not for the faint of heart. It's disturbing, real, and it blurs the line between belief and madness. So dim the lights, put on your headphones, and settle in. You're about to hear one of the most harrowing cases of alleged possession ever documented. This is the story of Anneliese Michel. And whether you believe in demons or not, what happened to her was real. Before we begin, know this. Everything you're about to hear is based on documented events, from medical records, court transcripts, and audio tapes. What happens when faith, fear, and science collide? Let me tell you her story. Anneliese Michel was born in 1952 in Leimling, a small town in Bavaria, West Germany. She was bright, polite, deeply religious. Raised in a devout Catholic household, her faith was more than just tradition. It was identity. She attended Mass twice a week, prayed the rosary daily, and often fasted voluntarily. At age 16, it began. She collapsed during class. Her body went rigid. Her lips turned blue. The doctors called it a seizure. A year later, it happened again and again. Eventually, she was diagnosed with temporal lobe epilepsy, a condition known for triggering intense emotions, hallucinations, and even religious visions. She was prescribed anticonvulsants, but the visions didn't stop. In fact, they got worse. She said she saw demonic faces, heard hateful voices telling her she was damned. She became withdrawn. She would kneel for hours in prayer, refusing food. Her eyes darkened. She began sleeping on the floor, insisting she was unworthy of a bed. Doctors increased her medication. But by 1973, Anneliese told her parents something terrifying. "I don't have epilepsy. I am possessed." By 1974, Anneliese's condition had worsened. She began to scream for hours, at walls, at crucifixes, at her family. She hissed at religious objects, tore the clothes off of her body. She would eat spiders, lick her own urine from the floor, and once bit the head off a dead bird. Her voice changed. It deepened, became guttural and unrecognizable. Witnesses, her parents, her sisters, claimed she could speak in fluent Latin, though she had never studied it. She told them multiple demons were inside her. She named them: Lucifer, Cain, Judas, Nero, Hitler. Catholic priests initially refused an exorcism. Doctors insisted she was simply mentally ill, but the family wouldn't give up. In 1975, two priests, Father Arnold Rentz and Father Ernst Alt, received permission from the local bishop to perform the rite of exorcism, an ancient ritual rarely granted in the modern church. It began in secret, at night, in the family's home. What followed would span 10 months and 67 possessions.
Nein, ich sag's nicht. Weil eine starke Maul. Ja. Ja, gegen uns.
During those sessions, Anneliese screamed for hours. She thrashed violently, restrained only by her father and mother. She would drop to her knees over 600 times in a day until her bones cracked and legs bled. She refused food, said the demons forbade it. By May 1976, she looked hollow, gaunt, bruised. Her eyes were sunken. The recordings became harder to listen to. I am Lucifer. I am damned. She belongs to us. You cannot save her. Whether these voices came from her or something else, they were real. They were recorded, and they were horrifying. On July 1st, 1976, Anneliese Michel was dead. She had wasted away to just 68 pounds. Her knees were shattered. She was malnourished, dehydrated, covered in bruises and sores. Her parents and the two priests were charged with negligent homicide. In the eyes of the court, this wasn't a possession. It was abuse, cloaked in the language of religion. The trial gripped Germany. The prosecution painted a portrait of a mentally ill woman denied proper care. The defense presented audio recordings of the exorcisms, photographs, witnesses who swore they had seen and heard things that defied science. The doctors claimed she had psychosis. Priests said she was spiritually afflicted. The two worlds clashed violently in court. Medicine and faith locked in bitter argument. The verdict? Guilty, but with leniency. The parents and priests received 6 months probation and fines. To some, it was justice. To others, a tragedy of belief misunderstood. To this day, people still argue, was she sick or was she possessed? And what really killed Anneliese Michel? Her body was later exhumed at her parents' request, after rumors spread that her corpse hadn't decayed. But officials found nothing unusual. Still, the faithful made pilgrimages to her grave in Kleinenberg. Some called her a martyr. Others called her a warning. The story didn't end with her death. It became a legend. So what do we do with stories like Anneliese's? We retell them. We repackage them. We turn horror into entertainment and her suffering into myth. If parts of this story feel familiar, they should. In 2005, her case inspired the film The Exorcism of Emily Rose, which portrayed a courtroom drama haunted by supernatural dread. The movie blurred the same line that reality did, leaving the audience to wonder whether Emily's death was the result of faith, medicine, or something far darker. In other films, like The Rite to the Last Exorcism, echo Anneliese's ordeal, portraying possession not as a distant folklore, but as something raw and real. And through these films, her voice lingers on, her growls, her prayers, her torment. But with every retelling, do we come closer to the truth? Or do we risk sensationalizing what may have been a young woman's desperate cry for help? It's a question that haunts the genre, and one we should all ask before turning the lights off. There are things about this story we may never understand. Was Anneliese mentally ill, or was she possessed? Why didn't the medication help? How could a girl raised with love and faith end up dying like that? Science says epilepsy, psychosis, misdiagnosis. Faith says evil found a door and stepped through it. And somewhere between belief and biology, we find ourselves searching for meaning in horror. There are hundreds of hours of audio tapes from her exorcisms, photographs, written diaries, eyewitnesses, and still no clarity. Maybe the real question isn't what happened to Anneliese, but how we respond to stories like hers. Do we look away, Or do we stare back and ask the harder questions about how faith in medicine failed one young woman in the grip of something unrelenting? I'll be honest with you. I've looked at this case from every angle. I've listened to the tapes, read the court records, studied the symptoms. And as much as I try to find a medical explanation, I just can't shake the feeling that something else was happening here. In my gut, I believe she was possessed. I know that not everyone will agree, and I'm not asking you to. But some things, no matter how much we try to explain them, defy logic. And this feels like one of them. If Anneliese Michel's story teaches us anything, it's that truth can be elusive and sometimes terrifying. Thank you for joining me on this journey into darkness. If you found this episode compelling, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. And if you think the story ends here, think again. Next time, we dive into a story even stranger. A secret government program, disappearing children, experiments in psychic warfare, time travel, and mind control that makes MKUltra look like a fun day at the fair. We're going to Camp Hero. We're chasing the truth behind the Montauk Project. Until then, keep questioning and keep your lights on.